What other story elements were there from the Avengers Kang Dynasty? Is any of that still in the story? Do we think that the name Kang be mentioned in this new version of Doomsday?
No. They're going to say that other guy.
Or there was someone else who I usurped. Will they even say that?
I think they're going to say that other guy, and it's going to be Paul Rudd. How is Paul Rudd going to go into a new movie and not say...
He's the one who's
going to
be
like, yeah, there was this one guy, but I guess he's just gone.
Welcome back to New Rockstars. Who's actually writing Avengers Doomsday and Avengers Secret Wars? And what story elements from the original Kang Dynasty version of the story survived with Michael Waldron as he came back to help Stephen McFeely and the Russo brothers construct the new version of this plot with Dr. Doom?
This is the Sneak Peek, the weekly podcast on New Rockstars that looks ahead to the future of fandom with me, Jessica Clemons, and Erik Voss.
Hi, Jess. Yes, we're on the break room set now because it's such a cool set. Jessica did an amazing job decorating this for Halloween, and we wanted you to see it. And also, you may be seeing all future episodes of the Sneak Peek and Rumor Rundown, another podcast we do here on this set. It just kind of makes more sense. We're trying to save some space here in the studio, and we
consolidate.
It kind of makes sense to have it here. But we'll be evolving. Maybe you'll see a floating screen that says Sneak Peek. Maybe it will live somewhere down here. Maybe there will be a man who might look like Brandon Barrick just kind of doing this in the background saying Sneak Peek every 15 seconds.
That's not distracting.
I don't think so. I think it's a benefit to the show. So in this episode of the Sneak Peek, first off, we're so thankful to have you all back because last week we had what was among many corners online a pretty controversial conversation where I believe we fairly held Marvel to task for why they're not promoting Avengers Doomsday enough. And look, a lot of you can say, isn't our overexposure the problem? Aren't we just 14 months away from this movie? Yes, and yes, you could argue that. All we're really saying is how weird it is Marvel Studios won't let Brie Larson in an interview say that she's in the movie. Like, I think the secrecy is helpful in some cases, but in some cases it's just ridiculous and unnecessary. Mm-hmm. And if they already started promoting this movie in March with that set shares announcement and they're letting the Russo brothers, all we're saying is like, Marvel Studios, you can afford to let the Russo brothers and people like Stephen McFeely and Michael Waldron post a picture of the screenplay, post some behind the scenes photos. That's not that hard to do. There's no budget involved. And we're not talking about we need a trailer right now. Of course, we'd like one. We're just saying like, remind the public consciousness that this movie is coming in little small ways and it will benefit you in huge ways. That's all we're saying. But we appreciate all the feedback. Okay, so here's what we're going to talk about. On Wednesday, we released this video on the New Rockstars channel about what Michael Waldron said in a Reddit AMA about like his original version of Doomsday with Jeff Loveness that he was writing. Did you see that AMA?
No.
Have you watched any of Chad Powers?
No.
Yes, I was the same way. I haven't watched any of Chad Powers, but this clip that like Michael Waldron tweeted at us saying that he had Natalie Holt, the composer from Loki, put the Loki music theme in the background for the marching band, and I didn't hear it at all. And he tagged New Rockstars like, how'd you guys miss this? And I'm like, how did I miss this tweet? Like, I feel so bad that like he tweeted at us.
Maybe because we're not watching Chad Powers, unfortunately, Michael Waldron.
I think we do have to start watching Chad Powers just for that.
I know that they shot that in like an actual, I think it was at UCLA or USC stadium, and it's actual students that are actually cheering it on. So I don't know if that's a real marching band that you got to do the Loki soundtrack in underneath their normal marching band.
I would imagine that Natalie Holt probably had her version of it and just layered it in.
Just layered it in post. That would make more sense. Let me tell you, football is the last thing on my mind right now.
You don't watch Friday Night Lights? For the Kyle Chandler of it all?
I kind of do, only for Kyle Chandler.
What's fun is if you were to listen to those USC students cheering in the background, they would just call it SC. That's the insufferable thing that all the USC students are doing now. It's like, actually, I went to SC. It's like, no, motherfucker, you went to USC. Shut up.
Oh, they don't want to say university in front of it?
Yeah, or it's like the Ohio State. Every annoying college has to have their thing, you know, that just makes them look like snobs.
Got it. So I hate USC.
I hate USC.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I hate USC.
Excuse me. We're going to talk about today what could have carried over from the Waldron and Loveness version of this story now that Michael Waldron is coming back to help on Avengers Doomsday. Actually, earlier this month, Michael Waldron clarified to The Wrap what exactly his involvement is with the writing of Avengers Doomsday and Secret Wars. And here's what he said. He was asked, so you're writing on both Avengers Doomsday and Avengers Secret Wars? And he said, yes, I am. I've been back and forth from London helping that team out while in post-production on Chad Powers. And again, that's only possible if you have a partnership like this. If I can look at my producing partner and say, all right, I have to disappear in a Marvel world, and I trust your creative instincts enough to speak for the show. Adam and I have a hive mind in many ways. And then the rap asked him, okay, back to Avengers. Were you working on Avengers Kang Dynasty at all before that became Avengers Doomsday? And Michael Waldron said, Kang Dynasty was Jeff Loveness, my friend, who was writing that with Destin Daniel Cretton, who's now doing Spider-Man Brand New Day. Because I was writing the movie after that, but there wasn't a filmmaker attached yet, I was just involved in all of those conversations. When that movie went away, I was working on what would become Avengers Doomsday and Secret Wars for a time. And then they brought in the Russos and Stephen McFeely right at the time we were going to make Chad Powers. As those guys got in and wrapped their hands around what these movies were going to be, I was off doing this insane thing. And when I finished, there was an opportunity for me to come back in and get to know Joe and Anthony and Steve and really just help however I could. That's what I'm trying to do, is just support them.
Okay.
And then this week, in a Reddit AMA to promote the Chad Powers series, Waldron finally revealed, October 28th, what was part of his and Loveness's plan for Avengers: The Kang Dynasty. The question on the AMA asked, without spoiling anything, as you were a writer on Avengers: The Kang Dynasty, is there anything that you learned from those initial drafts of the script that moved over to help you write the new version of Avengers Doomsday? So basically they were asking, what is still there? What's the connective tissue between versions of the story? Here's what Michael Waldron said. Jeff Loveness and I spent an afternoon pitching on the Young Avengers defeating a version of Kang and being so stoked about it, only to discover that particular Kang carried a little card that said, be patient with him, it's his first day as a Kang. And then they were so bummed. I think he was going to be the Lizard Kang from the end of Kang Dynasty. I think he's saying the end of Quantumania, maybe? I don't know. Anyway, we had fun. So, again, I covered some of this, like the Young Avengers, the Kamala Khan of it, in Wednesday's video, but it really opens up the question of what other story elements were there from the Avengers Kang Dynasty that, even though Marvel's landscape has changed now that Kang isn't the big bad, there's plenty of stuff that was seemed to be a big deal in 2022, 2023 on these Disney Plus shows. Is any of that still in the story?
I think, well, it makes sense that they keep going back to Michael Waldron because he's one of the most consistent writers throughout Marvel that Kevin Feige trusts. So it's interesting that he says, I came back, I was available to come back to help them in any way. And that's where I'm more like, okay, so what could he have helped with that the Russos don't feel they confident enough to do themselves? Because I feel like a lot of the things the Russos and McFeely would have been like, oh, we're fine, we don't need your help, go work on Chad Powers. But there's probably something in there that Michael Waldron, I like the note about the Young Avengers, because that makes sense why they're not a part of anything right now.
Yeah.
I could see the Russos looking at that and being like, we'll take that block away for now. And keeping them as a block, not keeping them separated. They're a block of people that are now somewhere in the universe, somewhere in the Marvel script writing universe. I think that's one thing that is definitely maybe they're going to keep on the docket. It's hard because I think Marvel was also really quick to be like, take away anything from Kang. We're not doing Kang storyline anymore. Well, Ant-Man his whole storyline has to be picked up from there, right?
You got to have either Scott or Cassie, and the way Quantumania ended, since we know Paul Rudd is going to be in the movie, some of those story elements from Quantumania have to be coming back.
I also think, no offense, but when you start breaking up and going into different universes or realities, that's when Michael Waldron kind of comes in. You need help with that. What the TVA and Loki have already done, Michael Waldron was ahead of that. So it's we need to know what's going on, because the last movies we worked on, Loki wasn't a thing.
Right. Yeah. I think just for the TVA of it all.
Well, yeah, I think just understanding. I think unfortunately he made a lot of the definitive answers for some things, especially because he did Strange. Yes. So I'm like, damn, if we want to stick to the math and stay with the continuity, we have to go to Michael Waldron and ask what was in his brain when he came up with this weird magic trick. Yeah, part of this answer is figuring out, going back to Loki season 1 and going back to the different phases of Multiverse of Madness, because Waldron came in late. There were other writers of Multiverse of Madness. He came in late, and there's some interviews you can find where he said, well, when I came in, there was already going to be an 838 universe massacre. There were already some people decided of who the options were.
But like that was like one of the things the first thing that he wrote a new pass on was exactly the throes of that battle.
Yeah.
I think the adapting the Hickman dialogue about what incursions are, everything John Krasinski says as Reed Richards was Waldron. Yeah. But yeah, I think all the TVA logic, I think that was Waldron's like brainchild from Loki season 1, that he's the guy you go to if you're gonna have anything set in the TVA. You have to ask Waldron.
Is Michael Waldron one of the Rick and Morty writers?
Yeah,
that makes sense. Also, it's like they know the science before any of us. Berg has talked to us about that writers' room and how much research it takes in for like weeks for those people. That's why they got Jessica Gao. That's why they got Jeff Loveness. It's like these people kind of understand the science or what questions to ask when talking about how big the universe can be. And I think those are the parts that Waldron. Yeah. So the TVA. That kind of timeline stuff, that Loki stuff, those are the parts that will be brought in from whatever that last script was to Doomsday and not Kang's Dynasty, Secret Wars.
Yeah. I mean, I think at first going into this conversation, I was thinking, well, maybe he threw out Young Avengers beating one of the Kangs because that tells us he's answering the question, like, the Young Avengers are going to be coming back in some form. And that means, even though Iman Vellani, Catherine Newton, Haley Steinfeld, Ruri Malika, and Joe Locke have not been confirmed for Avengers Doomsday, they are kind of representative of the Young Avengers that we're all kind of hoping shows up in some form. Now I'm kind of thinking of it, well, maybe Waldron tossed that out there because he knows for sure that he's not spoiling anything, and that's what he was addressing. He's like, okay, well, I'm not spoiling anything to say Young Avengers because they're not at all going to be in Doomsday.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, maybe that's what it was, but like the reason he was brought on is really what we should be investigating, because like he is the guy. I think what we're going to find out when we see Doomsday is that it's going to be far more connected to the 2022 Multiverse of Madness movie than we thought. I think like incursions, and I think all the TVA logic, all that's going to come back in a connective way that actually clarifies everything in retrospect.
Yeah. I think and I think also the fact that no matter how you see it, Doctor Strange is one of the big three. So it's like big three now. Everyone else is having children or going away. Strange is still there. We have to come back to Strange. Strange hasn't even got his trilogy yet. So it's like, oh, we're going to go back to Strange. Even if you want to like not think about the comics where Strange was a big part of Secret Wars, he still needs to be in there. Mm-hmm. So I think you have to go to not Jeff Loveness. You have to go to Michael Waldron from Multiverse of Madness and be like, because even if he was the last person to write it, at least he saw the entire thing. He saw it all the way through. You're like, okay, so him and Clea in the Dark Dimension. How the hell are we going to do that?
Right.
And that's something I think you have to bring into either Secret Wars or Doomsday.
Yes.
With one of those two. It has to be in one of those two. So that's why I'm like, I think that was definitely what was brought from that Kang Dynasty script.
I think you have to.
The beef that was going to be between Strange and Kang Dynasty, because was there a rumor that Strange was going to be like that one that has to take it on? Like it wasn't, because we weren't going to get Iron Man. We weren't going to, or not Iron Man, we weren't going to get Robert Downey Jr. As Doom before Kang Dynasty. So I thought there was like a rumor or something said that it was like, oh, Strange is going to be the one that's going to be like has to take the mantle to go against Kang Dynasty. And I feel like you can still take that version of Doctor Strange and put it in Doomsday or Secret Wars.
Yeah.
Because he's gonna be in charge of so much.
He seems to be such an important character if you're dealing with like this intersection of science and mysticism with Doctor Doom. Like, yeah, I don't see how every Marvel character plugs into a story like this, but Doctor Strange is one that seems like a no-brainer, which made it so weird that Benedict Cumberbatch was not one of those set chairs. Yeah. Like,
well, he's in the Dark Dimension until that's what I think they're gonna do. They're gonna pop him up in Secret Wars. But I don't want them to just pop him up in Secret Wars. I want to see what he's doing down there with Clea. And I know that they're just going to bring him out of nowhere with his third eye. And he's going to be like, hey, whoa, here's all the other Doctor Stranges. Like, he's going to like bring his own army. And I'm going to be like, okay, whatever. But I do think that storyline, even if it wasn't Kang Dynasty, you could just take from Michael Waldron's script and put it in Secret Wars.
Yeah. I think there's a couple different ways you could plug him in. Do we think that the name Kang or He Who Remains or Victor Timely, will any of those variants be mentioned in this new version of Doomsday? No. Are they just going to pretend that he didn't? Are they even going to mention to him like through pronouns or just say like that other guy?
They're going to say that other guy.
Or there was someone else who I usurped. Will they even say that?
I think they're going to say that other guy, and it's going to be Paul Rudd as Ant-Man, because how is Paul Rudd going to go into a new movie and
he's the one who's going to say,
he'll be like, yeah, there was this one guy, but I guess he's just gone. And then that's all it's going to be said. I don't think they're going to name drop Kang as much as like we want.
I think at some point it's going to be like Paul Rudd will say like, There was another one who I fought down. His name, and if I were writing the scene, I would be like, his name was Kang. And then someone else could say, well, he went by many names, but he doesn't matter anymore or something. Yeah,
that's probably what's going to happen.
Which would feel even kind of like, I don't even know if like someone at Marvel would even be like, you can't say that.
I think they're either going to take it out or it's going to be that. But I just know it's not going to be such a huge focus point. Yeah. It's just going to be
Yeah, maybe they say like there were many multiversal conquerors from the ages, from the eons, but Doctor Doom ended up on top of the pile or something like that. Like they're going to mention that there were other names that you may have heard of, but Doctor Doom is the one you got to focus on now.
Yeah. I mean, the same thing with like Thanos, I guess. It's like Thanos was the big thing of that phase. Yeah. And then we go against Kang and we're like, oh, Thanos was only almost as bad? And it's like, no, Thanos was also bad. Like, he destroyed everybody. He killed half of the universe. I think that's pretty fucking bad. But then we just went on to Kang. So now we're going on to Doom. And Doom will be the new big bad.
Yeah, I think while this feels kind of weird that you wouldn't even be able to name Kang, think about it. It's Marvel Studios all the time. They do things like they never use people's names. They're like the guy in the suit. You know, they do shit like that. So it's going to be that with Kang, I would imagine. And really, I think what's going to happen is when they're talking about the TVA, you're going to see like Thor or someone walking through the TVA. He's going to be like, who built all of this? And then, you know, someone from the TVA or Doctor Strange or you know, Ant-Man will be like, from my understanding, it was this other guy. And they're like, yes, this architecture was built. Who knows who built it, but the point is now Doom is controlling it. Yeah. It's gonna be shit like that.
Yeah, I think it's they sweep things under the rug all the time. I think just as big of a deal is the Eternals in the situation of like, oh, could Doom actually kill like a Celestial or like do something so bad, and they wouldn't bring that up. They would never bring up the Eternals again. They don't want to remind us that the Eternals was a thing.
No, that's gonna get left behind. I think
there's a lot of things that are like super big and temperamental that are gonna be left behind.
Are there, just to kind of rewind the clock, like in Wednesday's video I talked about, I think the last time we saw Marvel's big vision for their future before the Jonathan Majors legal stuff disrupted a lot of those plans would have been in August of 2022 at D23. That's where they just came off of their Comic-Con in San Diego in July, where they unveiled that the fifth Avengers movie would be called the Kang Dynasty and Secret Wars. We were given some temporary release dates that then were moved. Guardians of the Galaxy was coming out, and we knew at this point that Daredevil Born Again was going to be coming. Captain America Brave New World was coming. At D23, though, they showed a trailer for Loki Season 2 that seemed to be pretty instrumental. They showed a trailer for The Marvels. They showed a trailer for Ironheart. That was the first time Anthony started to tease like Mephisto being part of it. He even said like, I have to dance around the details here, but he was totally talking about Mephisto in that moment. So he was going to be part of their plans at that point. And we got a Werewolf by Night teaser. We got a Thunderbolts announcement as well at D23. That was their plan. And then obviously the following March, the major stuff happened and disrupted a lot of their plans so that the following September, they do their Palm Springs thing. In August, they were already talking to Downey, and then they ended up going with Doom. So, like, any of the other things I mentioned, you know, we were coming off of a season of Moon Knight that was earlier that year. I gotta imagine if they're doing a show with Oscar Isaac, they had plans to put him in the Kang Dynasty. Do we think Moon Knight could still show up in Doomsday?
Yeah, they could if they want to.
But do you think they want to?
I think everybody can do a lot of things that they want to. I think it comes down to like, even if they have a lot of money, it still comes down to money. I think if it was up to the Russos, if there was no money, they would put everybody in it. Like, why? There's no reason to not put everybody in it. Why wouldn't you want everybody in it? But at the end of the day, you're doing a lot of VFX. And let me tell you, Moon Knight is all VFX. Yeah. Even the person that accompanies him is a VFX. Like, and then on top of that, you're hiring, what's his name that does the voice? Who I don't know if they're bringing
Murray
back.
Abraham.
Who I don't know if they're going to bring back.
They brought him back for Marvel Zombies.
They did?
Yeah, he voiced Khonshu in Marvel Zombies.
Okay, so they might bring him back.
Like, he may have already recorded his audio.
That is also true. Sounds like, what was Elizabeth Olsen was like, I did that 12 years ago.
I sat in my closet and just recorded lines. I didn't know what the scene was.
And this is why you record within the, like, 4 months.
Yeah. Just get an hour with them and have them record, like, now, or let's go, Avengers assemble. I can't do this. Whatever you think you might be helpful.
Maybe give us one of the I'm coming for you, Clarice. Maybe give us some of those. No, so I think it just takes a lot for him. And then you gotta, I always talk about this because I really like the way that the writer for Thunderbolts was like, yeah, I actually ended up killing Taskmaster because a lot of her parts just overlapped with the same jokes that Sentry made. They were both like people that didn't know what they were doing and they weren't doing it right, and it was always like Trip falling into the perfect like solution. And then we realized like, oh, we kind of just gotta get rid of Taskmaster. And I think the same could be said for Moon Knight, unfortunately, when you already have like so many characters that are so volatile because he has not finished his business. He has not actually fully successfully learned how to change between himself. Like, we don't know what Jake is doing. That's another story. And they would have to fix that and talk about that. And I don't think that would make such a big hiccup or just a speed bump to something that could have been as simple as not putting Moon Knight in there.
Yeah.
I would love to see Moon Knight, but I think it's money and that his character wasn't completely fleshed out. We haven't gotten a second season. No. Until then, maybe. Because I also think the same can be said for Sentry, 100%. Sentry's still very volatile. He could literally put everyone into a depression. But I think that's the only character that should be able to do that in Doomsday. That's going to be his, like, the horrible part of Doomsday is going to be him having to be subjected to that.
Yeah.
If we get that with Moon Knight, that'd just be too many people.
I just have always had it in my head that the math on Moon Knight has been, okay, his powers come from Khonshu, from ancient Egypt, from the Ennead, and that the way you bring him into a Kang Dynasty story is you team him up with whatever Avengers are fighting Pharaoh Rama-Tut from ancient Egypt.
God,
and whatever power he has rooted in ancient Egypt. Isn't it ironic that Oscar Isaac also played Apocalypse?
Yeah, Apocalypse.
And Sabodner. Just kind of interesting there. I don't know, maybe there was something in the water there and how that could crossed over. But I just don't think that I don't see how Doom is connected to ancient Egypt in the way that Pharaoh Rama-Tut was. So I don't know if that math still holds up, whatever that story logic could have been. So I am in agreement with you. Plus, yes, he's expensive. Plus, yes, the VFX that would cost to make that look as cool as it did in the Moon Knight show might be more useful in other places that you have. The 838 dimension. So not to be confused with the 828 dimension of Fantastic Four First Steps. 838 was what we saw in Multiverse of Madness. That's where the Illuminati massacre happened. That's where Wanda is still alive over there. There's a 4chan leak that Zach and I talked about on Rumor Rundown this past week that seems completely ridiculous, but whoever wrote this 4chan leak or whatever AI software wrote it seemed very obsessed with the idea that a lot of it would be taking place in the 838 dimension. And I don't know if that was just like AI slot putting the wrong number in there, but 838 was just the universe that we spent a lot of Multiverse of Madness in. Michael Waldron wrote a lot of scenes that take place. Things like Pizza Papa, multicolored rain clouds that work on a schedule, red and green lights that show pedestrian traffic, a lot of like greenery and waterfalls between skyscrapers. Could we be going back to that at all?
That's so much VFX. Those parts, I think they accounted for the budget when it comes to making it. Like when they're going to be going through different universes. You got to account for the money that's going to take to make those different universes. The more reason why I don't think it would take so much time there is only because, well, and this is also on them. They could do this if they want. The fact that it had, what's his name? Who was an Inhuman?
What's his face? Black Bolt.
I was almost at Black Mouth. Same difference.
No mouth when he went down.
No mouth whatsoever, actually. So, no mouth anymore. But that's the part which I don't think it would be a hiccup for them. I think they just wouldn't address it. But I'm like, oh yeah, that universe also has Inhumans. So how are we going to talk about that when we break that world apart? Would we see other Inhumans? And will we talk about the differences between the Inhumans and the mutants? Since you just made Kamala Khan a mutant instead of an Inhuman. This is the deep Marvel nerd in me that's like, oh, cool, we'll see other Inhumans when that world gets destroyed. They won't want to address that. They probably just wouldn't even address it.
It's a universe that also has X-Men, as we know. It does, yeah. And that there's definitely probably a Scott and a Jean Grey if there's a Professor X who lives there who has like a hover chair, I think that was the implication of that. There's a Wolverine somewhere in the background of that universe. So I don't know if this 4chan leak was saying that's where all the X-Men would come from. I think realistically after Deadpool and Wolverine, they're coming from the 1005 universe. They put that on screen. I don't think they're going to get their mutants from 838. And in fact, I don't think really any elements are. But what they were saying in this 4chan leak is it was like, oh, the Doctor Doom, like Robert Downey Jr.'s Doctor Doom would have been the Doctor Doom to the John Krasinski Reed Richards. Oh. And I'm like, I guess that's kind of fun to think about. I just don't think they're going to go back there.
Yeah. I feel like because they gave that like clear nod in Fantastic Four, they want this Doctor Doom to be that Doctor Doom, right?
I have no idea. I don't know if the Latveria seat is what you're saying.
Because it's like,
I have no idea.
I feel like that would be kind of not lying to us, but like kind of cheating to be like, this is the one from this universe. I'm like, then what the hell was that Latveria for? Don't show it to me.
I still have no idea. I feel like they could be saying there is still a Victor Von Doom in that universe, and Downey's Doom comes from another universe. Mm-hmm. I just feel like if they would have made the Baxter building more fortified against whatever the Doctor Doom of this universe has to offer. You know, I don't think Sue would have been as surprised when he showed up caressing her son. She would have said like, oh, we got to keep an eye out for him. I'm not going to leave my son in the room in a building
unless they all look the same, which they could do because like they did that with Jonathan Majors as Kang.
Oh, sure. Oh, okay. So they know of a like, I guess it's so hard to even theorize on because like it could be that in most universes, when there's a guy who looks like Robert Downey Jr., that guy goes by the name of Victor Von Doom. But only in the 616 universe did he look like Tony Stark.
He's Tony Stark.
Yeah.
Those are two ends that they can change whenever they want. They can change that anytime they want because we have a bunch of different looking Lokis, but we don't have a bunch of different looking Kangs. So
we have a bunch of different Peter Parkers,
but we don't have a bunch of different Kangs. It's the Kangs that throw it off.
It was the Kangs and then the Doctor Stranges as well, because like we had
they all look the same. They all look. It was the zombies
and the Wandas.
Yeah, and the Wandas look the same.
And what's hard is Michael Waldron was the purveyor of both forms of logic. And Loki, it was a variety of Lokis. Actually, it was a mix. You had one Loki, you had King Loki or President Loki.
Yeah, no, some Lokis look like him,
but some of them look like that little boy.
They had a black
or looked like Richard E. Grant, the black Loki.
Yeah, they had the black and Richard E. Grant and alligator.
Sylvie was one of the.
And then when they were showing the different ones, there was like a hulking monster one in the like hologram. That's why I'm like, yeah, there's some that look like him, but there's a lot more that don't. And I'm for that. But now you say about Wanda, and I'm like, that is true. Even Zomba Wanda and What If it is Wanda.
It is Wanda. It's Elizabeth Olsen.
Yeah. Or I think you could also lie and say that we only saw human look-alike Elizabeth Olsen Wandas because she's looking for her children. So she wants human-looking children that look like her children probably versus like a Wanda that's an octopus that had a bunch of octopus children or something. But
do we think we'll get an answer from Waldron logically why some variants in the multiverse?
No.
You think the movie's not even going to bother?
I don't think it irritates me. It irritates me so much.
See, I feel like they have to answer it if they're bringing Downey back. Like that, whatever the reason is, the new mask, same task of it all. Like why Downey looks one way in one universe and is Dr. Doom in another universe. That answer is probably the answer as to why all Wandas look alike versus Lokis who can have a variety.
It's crazy that the simple answer will just be like, yeah, they just look alike. That's what they're gonna say. It's like,
don't give me a cute answer.
They're literally gonna be like, yeah, they just all look alike. And then because then that makes Loki the odd man out. It makes, and I guess you could say again. I'm just saying. They could be like, oh, well, he's a god and gods and do look different in different realities. Blah, 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 blah. They can make some excuse. I'm sure they can find an excuse that makes Loki different from the rest of them. But
I feel like the best possible logician who has an answer to that question is Michael Waldron. And that's why they brought him in, is to figure out an answer. But based off of what we've heard from the Russos and Stephen McFeely is they had some idea that brought them back to Doomsday, and I think that idea was Downey. It's whatever this idea was, and there's another 4chan leak that we're going to talk about in the upcoming episode of Rumor Rundown that does explore one possible explanation. Well, you'll see what that is.
Right. I was literally like, I was thinking about like everybody that looks the same, and I was like, technically, in the most racist way, all the Peter Parkers kind of look the same. Spider-Man don't look the same.
I see what you're saying, the Miles versus the Gwen. But I was like,
and the Gwen, and the other, and the pig. I'm like, Spider-Man and the pig. And the pig. Spider-Man all look the same, but Peter Parkers all look the same. So I'm like, well, they could get away with it too with the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
You see a thin white guy with brown hair and kind of a higher pitched voice who's just kind of lanky, but also Kind of ripped.
I'm also going back to the Sony leaks where they were like, he must look like this and he must be like this. And I'm like, oh, okay, I guess like all Peter Parkers do look like that. It's the Miles, it's the Gwens, it's the pig.
You're referring to when the Sony leaks happened, it was like this memo from Ike Perlmutter or someone who worked under his division who said that, okay, if you're going to ever put Peter Parker in a movie, he has to be white, he has to be straight, he has to be a photographer or all this other stupid shit that is not important, as important as they were making it sound, especially if Miles Morales was at the time the most popular version of Peter Parker in the comics and animation.
The thing. He's Miles Morales. He's not Peter Parker.
Right.
That's where they got you in the comics.
But I think in the memo they said Spider-Man.
Did they say Spider-Man? I thought they said Peter Parker because I was like, oh, smart to say Peter Parker. Because there's a million other Spider-Men.
Well, I think it's why like Miles Morales had to be an animated thing.
Oh, maybe.
When Lord and Miller were pitching it. And it's why we didn't have a live action Miles sooner.
Probably.
Which is stupid. Like, we've been saying it for over 10 years now. Like, that memo, as soon as like Kevin Feige took control over Marvel Studios and had the deal with Amy Pascal, there's really no reason why. And I think the only reason why it's taken so long is that the animation films have been so popular.
Yeah.
They have to wait till those 3 are done. Maybe it's some deal that Lord and Miller have with Pascal.
Probably. And also, again, maybe it'll cause confusion when you get like the live action one in the MCU and then you still have the animated one still going in the Sony universe. People will be like, well, I want to buy merch, but which one do I buy? And are they the same costume? And then, oh my God, don't get us started with the costume. It will change. Yeah. And so then you'll be like, I don't want that one. I want this one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Kevin Feige even said as much back last summer when he talked to press after Fantastic Four First Steps came out or right before it. He said that like we can't do Miles until after Beyond the Spider-Verse.
They are holding on to it. They're not going to let that go. Why would they let you? If I was Sony, I would never let that shit go. That's all I got.
Well, I mean, Sony could even do the same kind of deal that they had with the Tom Holland Peter. Is like, we can do a profit sharing. He can be in the MCU. He can be in your future Mutant Saga stuff. Yeah. Whatever you want to do.
To be fair, Sony Animation, I guess, is better than Sony. What is Sony just called Sony?
At least when it comes to the Marvel titles, yeah.
Sony Animation does pretty well, right? To be fair, they kind of the deal on K-pop Demon Hunters, but they're coming out with other things that weren't so bad, that were pretty good. But I think their Sony Animation is obviously, clearly, no offense, a little bit better than their live action stuff.
Or at least they've had like a clear creative direction. Yeah. But again, Beyond the Spider-Verse, June 2027. We're still like a year and a half away from that. And I guess as he's saying, are we not even allowed to greenlight a script until after the movie comes out?
Probably.
Or is it just like our movie cannot come out until after a certain time after that movie comes out?
If they write that script right now, it will be changed like so many times. Yeah. They will hire every single person to touch that script before. I think they're like, we'll wait. We'll wait. That script, even if the script was perfect 5 years from now, or 5 years ago, they would still go and try to like make it better or something like 5 months before they actually get to do it. Marvel will wait till like the last minute, or not last minute, but they just alter the script on set all the time. So they'll probably just do that again.
So I think to kind of answer our question, what elements from the original version of the Kang Dynasty script will come back in Doomsday if Waldron is as involved as he's saying, is I really just think it's the TVA. I think whatever architecture he dreamt up with his team for the TVA is going to play a more important role in Doomsday than even I just assumed from like that Thor stunt double video that saw that they're going to be in the TVA for part of it. Now I think it's not just going to be like what Deadpool and Wolverine did and kind of walked through the TVA and got some of the logic a little fuzzy. It's going to be like the plot implications of what the TVA was to the Loki series will be at least important to Act 1 or Act 2 of Doomsday, as it now is.
I think Loki is probably their most successful Marvel television series, and to not address the like continuity that series made would be an insane thing to do. Because it also feels like if all else fails, the TVA will step in. And if the TVA can't step in, it's like, oh shit, we can't do anything. We have no control anymore.
I think if the TVA and Tom Hiddleston are going to be part of it, then okay, you need to know how Loki season 2 ended. And Waldron wasn't as involved in season 2. That was more Eric Martin and Vincent and Moorhead. But I think like Waldron knows enough of the architecture to kind of understand how Loki got there and what that means.
To be fair, they didn't really... they didn't really like change too much from the second season to the first season. They just like blew up the world that they were already in. They kept just going to different universes to go get people, but the logic was still there from the first movie.
Yeah, and I think it was because Eric Martin was in the room in the first season.
There you go.
So just interesting that Waldron still as involved as he is with both Doomsday and even the new version of Secret Wars. Helping out however he can, and that just makes me think Stephen McFeely had some questions about the logic of the TVA and needed someone else who worked on other stuff so that it feels true when Hiddleston is saying this dialogue now. All right, but let us know in the comments below what your thoughts on all of this are. And let's talk about the upcoming week on New Rockstars. Again, gotta subscribe to the Witching Hour. It's, as you're watching this, Halloween was 2 days ago. We're now in November, but I assume maybe one of the things you watched on Halloween was John Carpenter's Halloween. If you did, you're in luck, because this coming Wednesday, I had, I think, a pretty good video essay about maybe some questions you might have coming out of that movie. So that's going to be on the Witching Hour this coming Wednesday. Also, if you're loving this kind of horror content, we are covering It Welcome to Derry here on the New Rockstars channel. We covered the first 2 episodes. Episode 2 came out on Halloween, and we were able to break that down. The next episode comes out on November 9th. They're taking kind of a Sunday off. So a week from tonight will be episode 3, and you'll be able to see our breakdown of that episode the following Monday. Other stuff in the mix. Let's see. Fantastic Four First Steps will be on Disney Plus. At some point this month, we'll be doing a re-breakdown of new information we found from that. Guillermo del Toro's Frankenstein will be coming to Netflix soon. Jessica will be breaking that down. And then Predator Badlands opens in theaters this coming Friday. And now that our Predator rewatch series is complete, we will be breaking down all the Easter eggs and alien references that you might have missed in Predator Badlands. That will be on the New Rockstars channel either this Friday or Saturday. Let's end this episode of Sneak Peek with what we're watching. What have you been watching, Jess?
Dude, the new series I am watching, I think, is It Welcome to Derry. And I am so confused. So thank God we do breakdowns of it.
Well, how do you like it?
I like it. I'm just confused by all of it. And by my confusion, it's not confusion as in like it's a bad show. It's confusion as in like, oh, I don't know what's happening. I'm like, because I understand every single time I say, which is an old person thing, I'm like, oh, where's Pennywise? Everyone tells me how much he's going to be in the season, what's going on. And then I go, okay. And then I watch the episode and I go, okay, now what does this have to do with Pennywise? And so every step I'm trying to figure out how this connects to Pennywise.
Any kind of supernatural evil in Derry is arguably the doing of Pennywise, I think is what they're saying.
And I get that, but I guess, and maybe this is just me having to wait till later, because I'm just so confused. I'm like, so he was there before all of this happened. So we need to go further back, because I'm trying to get to the original time. I'm trying to get to the first staple. So I'm like, I thought this was the first staple. I thought this was going to be like, until I saw the first trailer. Am I allowed to talk about the first episode?
Sure.
I'm also confused about the soldiers in the army.
Oh, yeah.
Army's doing yet. Every time it gets to the army, I'm like, oh, that's the guy from Babylon. And I'm like, I love him. And then I go, what does it have to do with Pennywise? I think I just got to wait. It's the first episode. They're getting everyone like into the, you need to know all the characters.
Yeah.
But I'm still always asking, what does this have to do with Pennywise? I always go back to the first movie where we see the picture of him in like the fucking like 50s. And I'm like, oh, so are we starting back here?
Yes. Well, okay. I don't want to spoil too much for you because I think some of these questions will be answered this season. But I just know structurally what this show is it's going to be kind of an anthology series that goes back in time. Because Pennywise resurfaces in Derry every 27 years. And he feeds on the children, the fears, the anxieties, the hatred, whatever of the town of Derry. And he is kind of poisoning the minds of the people of Derry in the years in between. So he, in the Muschietti film timeline, he came back in 1989. That's when we see the kids. So 1962 was the last time he was there. And then before that, 1935. So that's going to be season 2 is 1935. Season 3, we're going to go back in time. And then season 3 will be 1908. So we're going to have like a Boardwalk Empire vibe of a show. And then we're going to have, I guess, a Downton Abbey. I don't know. Whatever 1908 is kind of like Upton Sinclair America, the jungle, oil. We're going to see like the industrial America before restrictions to protect people's safety were in place. And you had things like anybody who worked, whether it was at a Triangle Shirtwaist Factory or meat packing plants in Chicago or in Derry at the Ironworks, horrible things will happen to you.
Pennywise was so fucking pissed when OSHA became a thing. They were like, and it was so funny now knowing this. I'm like, oh, so that's probably why like he's he's pro racism. He's like, yeah, everybody start
for sure.
Keep
He
hating
loves
each other.
racism.
He said, keep hating each other. Keep blaming that little girl and her family that owned the theater.
I know. And so we know based off of some of the backstory of the 2 It films, and then if you've read the book, the Black Spot is a nightclub where horrible things happen that Pennywise was involved with. We're going to explore that on this season. And then the fact that it's 1962, I think they really cleverly found something here. That's also the year of the Cuban Missile Crisis.
Oh,
so
yeah.
I think we're working
around.
our way towards like the kind of fear of like nuclear bombs from Cuba in league with the Soviets, and the tension that was there in October 1962 in America. Everyone thought World War III was about to happen.
Yeah.
So I think that anxiety is going to come up this season.
That makes sense. Okay.
I'm really excited. I really dig this show. It snuck up on me. It shouldn't have snuck up on me. I should have had my eye on it for a while. But
well, to be fair, I also think they didn't do any press for it for a very long time. Not until like the beginning month of like this month. We knew it was coming, but we kept waiting for like a trailer or anything else to drop, and then it finally did drop. And I think that's on HBO. And the reason I'm blaming HBO for this is because before the first episode, they were like, here's the Knights of the Seven Kingdom, January. And I went, wait a minute.
Yeah.
I thought it was coming way sooner. And then I was like, okay, who's uploading their press stuff? Because I'm getting lost.
At some point, It Welcome to Derry was slated to come out in like 2022 or 2023. And I know that because like they interviewed the kid who plays Phil in the behind the scenes episode of the episode. In episode 1, that kid seems like 4 years older.
Yeah,
than he was
I did see a photo of them at the premiere and I was like,
these kids are all a bit older.
I said they grew really quick in a month.
Which is why I think it's clever they're structuring it this way. They're not going to have this issue that they had on like, I'm sure they're going to have on the Harry Potter series. They'll just go back in time and have new kids.
Yeah, that's true.
And also they're not afraid to do things to these kids in the show to not have to worry about that.
Don't want to spoil it.
Yeah. Really cool show. I'm glad you're watching it. It's a fun series. And maybe we'll talk about it on the Break Room channel too. It could be fun. What am I watching? Oh, I watched Bugonia.
Oh, dude. Oh, my God.
I really liked it.
Yeah.
It's a wild film. Emma Stone. So good.
So great. Her and Jesse Clemons. I would watch them do a 2-man like show on a stage. No set, nothing. Just going back and forth.
And it's just so cool to have that. I feel like we're eating well with him.
I saw Begonia a couple weeks ago and I was like, oh, this movie made me really sad.
Yeah.
And so I don't know how to feel about it. I'm like, everybody else can like it. I literally cannot watch this movie ever again.
Honestly, I don't know the next time I'll watch it. It's like a kind of a one and done. I'm glad I saw it.
I think it's just a movie you have to see. We all have to see it. We all got to see it. And then after I saw it, I went, I'm sad.
Yeah, it's kind of a bummer. But just great performances by Jesse Plemons and Emma Stone. I'm glad Emma Stone, I'm so proud of her in the career path she has taken.
Of course.
Because she's taking these weird roles that require her to like shave her head and wear insane makeup and like go through a grueling physical process. And I'm impressed by that.
She's great, dude. She's perfect in every way.
Yeah. Well, let us know in the comments below what other weird stuff you're watching. And what, if you have ideas for like this set, we're not going to make any major structural changes because we use this as a break room set too. But if there's like, I don't know, ideas for if you want Brandon to tap dance in the background, maybe there's a way we can make that happen.
Well, we can do a segment that someone has to come in and do the jitterbug.
Yeah. Or I'm just thinking this video screen. We have this. Oh, Brian's moving the cursor.
You want someone to move the cursor on the screen? We can do that.
There's one way we could do that. We also have like a bigger screen somewhere in this. We could make it interactive where we bring up some like, we could have like, it's stuck on my finger. It's stuck. And can't get it up. Okay, there it is. We could have like a screen where we put up like stuff, a vision board of like, or we can draw things on it.
Yeah, we do it like a football after show where we're like, okay, so they came over here, touchdown over there. Michael Waldron, what are you doing?
One pitch that we threw out there to give you a sneak behind the scenes here is we had an idea to build a map of Battle World that we can build increasingly more and more as we learn more information about what will be in Doomsday. I don't know. It's just an idea of like something we could have, even use in another space. Maybe we could cut to over there and we have our Kornacki at New Rockstars who's building up the electoral map of Battle World.
And if you guys want us to make the table from House of the Dragon, we could do that.
Oh,
where it's
Aegon's
lit by
table.
the lights, by the candle. Maybe it sets this building on fire. Who really cares?
Who cares?
California, we have loads of fires.
It's gonna burn anyway.
We're burning.
Well, thank you for watching, and big thanks to Brian Kim for producing this episode and helping us transfer things over here. Thank you, Jessica. It was wonderful talking to you. Thank you all for listening or watching, and we'll see you next week. Bye, everybody.